Okay, so today I haven't made a video in a long while, been quite busy, work and everything, but I wanted to sort of highlight how to learn software or how to pick up something new without having to rely on AI. I'd rather use the original I, just good old intelligence and information. So I started a new project just to play around a bit. It's another website, web uh, sort of software, mostly using PHP. But with PHP, you also need a lot of HTML, you need JavaScript, you need all these things to sort of work together to build a site. So right now we have kind of like a basic user management where you can sort of log out, log in. You can show how that works. So we have the user found. Once the user's found, then you get the access to the user management. And we're also building up kind of like a product management. And then the idea is that this will be a customizable site. Not nearly as customizable as like a platform like WordPress or Hugo or anything like that, but a dynamic site where you can upload products and then you can have a view page for them. But I'm still building all of this out, so it's a sort of work in progress, and I thought it would be interesting to sort of show how it works. And it's being done 100% without any AI. All of the code is stuff that I've built up from my previous projects, like our note organizer and some other projects which I have in the GitHub repo. And the idea is that I'll make all this software available in another GitHub repo. So it's kind of like an inventory plus point of sale kind of site. Hopefully that people might find interesting, but obviously this is uh, sort of the how the sausage is made kind of thing. But there's a lot of good information, and I really tried to be careful with this project. Previously, when I did PHP, I used the MySQL I connector. That was just the way it was taught in a really good book called The Joy of PHP. It taught me PHP. And PHP just sort of gelled with my brain well. It's a very forgiving language, even if it sometimes can be a little bit messy, and there's all these constructs around how to write the code to make it prettier or more manageable. I don't think I follow every best practice, but I can sort of get these kinds of things sort of working. So I'm just going to run through, do a couple of things to show the code and where you can get information. First, we'll just take a look at a bit of the code. So this is one page, and what you can do in PHP, as well as almost every software development language, is you can sort of break things out and then sort of build up the site. So what we have is we have this include, which means we pull in this other file, which is located in the same directory as these. You could also break out the directories if you wanted to. That might be something that I do in the future with this site. But we have sort of all of this working. And then you apply some logic. This echoes out the HTML, which is what you display on the screen. A lot of people have different takes on whether or not this is good practice or bad practice. I can definitely say this probably isn't the most hip way of doing this, but it works and it's what I know. And then we sort of get all the information. Now I'm getting all this information because we're using a database connector, and the database connector that I'm using is first called, no, not here, sorry. Wrong project. In the header file, so in any PHP, we have the header. The header gets called in the title bar, so I don't need to call in the header for every single file because it's already nested here in the title bar, so I just call in the title bar. And the title bar is what gives us our drop-down menu, this bar up here at the top. And then it gives us this drop-down menu. Again, still a work in progress. And I can add different items to it. The reason I'm doing it this way, previously in my projects, I always just went horizontal across, but I found that that doesn't work very well for mobile devices. So we're trying out this design at the moment. So you have like a drop-down bar, and this seems to work in my testing well on, say, like smartphones, for example. And then we have like our product list, or we have our user list. And you can add users, give them the passwords. All of the passwords are hashed. That uses a password command. There's a default method in PHP. We can just look at that. So the PHP manual is a good place to get lots of information. I implemented the password hash in our note organizer as well. So I referenced both that and also went back to the documentation again. And there's a lot of just good information like already available. You don't have to always go to AI to spin up a whole bunch of code which maybe you understand, maybe you don't understand. But it's very, very important that any code that you put into a project is stuff that you do understand. And the manual is a great place to go. This is the first time in a project that I'm implementing this PDO connector. And where did I go to do get information about sort of how this works? And so I spent some time just sort of playing with it, sort of seeing how the queries work, how the connectors work, how to then reparse that. So now we do have something which works. In the header file, I also do a check to see if the databases are created. That was something that I added recently to my library, which is another project of mine. So people don't have to import the database manually. It'll auto bring it up if this table doesn't return a result. So you do like a quick table. We make the connection. You set up what the connector is going to do, and then from there you can use the connector to then either directly query, or you can do this for anything that isn't a user readable statement or doesn't require user input. So for here, this check table, this is sort of hard coded at the PHP level. So there's not really as much of a security concern to not preface this connection or ready it. When we do the submits for anything that we're doing, we use the prepare statement. And what the prepare statement will do is it will help protect the database queries using PDO from any sort of malicious, they're called SQL injections, whereby the user tries to, in the input field, like if we look over here, like say I wanted to try to maliciously say delete database, and try to enter that command into this update, and then try to somehow maliciously get this to parse update. Yeah, see, it'll throw an exception, but it doesn't actually run the command to then go and delete the database. So that's essentially why we use the preface. That was also probably a little bit of a malformed example, but just so you know the reason why we're doing it. The other thing is, like, all of this information, there's a really good online tutorial here, this phptutorial.net. This has a lot of good examples, also a lot of interesting ways to do things, like here when they're first doing this create table to build a statement. The way they build it is these blocks make it into an array so that you can build multiple tables in a single statement. I thought that was kind of clever, and I also sort of took that from the tutorial, so thank you to PHP tutorials. But the main statement that I just wanted to say is that there's a whole wide range of information on the internet. W3 Schools is also a really good place. I learned a lot of PHP, a lot of HTML, and every now and then I hit the site and they have really good references as well, so you can sort of like try some of the code sometimes before you actually run it. And again, I'm sort of re-jogging my memory because it's been a while since I've done any web development. And yeah, this particular site I've just sort of had in my brain for a while, and it's taken me a lot to sort of like get back into it. But now that I'm starting to make a little bit of progress, I just wanted to do like a quick video, and I hope over the coming weeks and months as the site builds, hopefully I can sort of come in and do just a little bit of updates, a little bit of tutorials, and maybe some of you will find this kind of helpful if you wanted to reference this, how to build a site, what things to do. In this design, like we're using the user management, I'm trying to see if I can have everything go over to a single submit file so that I can have like all the SQL statements. So anything which is touching the database beyond that initial table creation, it all comes in here. For the way I can do that is in the submit statement, we can use the isSet command, and then you can have a couple of flags, and you can put the flags sort of in your submit. So like for example here, in this page here we have a couple of actions. We have an update, we have a delete for any of these users. We have different user types, so the user could be an admin or a customer. That may change over time, but for now this is what it is. If I want to do an update, then we'll update the information. Say I add a number, I can update, the user data is updated. I can then go back to user management and the user's number was updated. We could also do a delete if we wanted to delete this customer. Then we have a check. This check is a very simple line of JavaScript right here. You want to have a function confirmation, and again, all of this stuff you don't need ChatGPT or AI to write you these functions. I understand it's maybe feels convenient, but you can also just go through online, do searches. A lot of these are well-defined tutorials in like W3 Schools, PHP tutorials. But the JavaScript you really need to use in tandem with the PHP, because PHP is server-side, so everything you do is like this back forth, like request, deliver information, request, deliver information. So if you need some sort of action to happen before you've navigated away from the page or changed something, I know there are ways, and I've done it before with like searches and things, where you can sort of have it an interaction with the PHP call and have it happen within the page, and it just like quickly loads. It's not really what works in every case. Sometimes you do need to have the JavaScript. This function confirmation is one of those cases, but you're just basically return a conform, and that way we can, if someone accidentally clicks delete, the user doesn't directly get deleted. So you say, do you really want to delete this user? You say, okay, user's removed. We go back to project management. Customer 3 has been removed. And then we can add customers. And then all of this hits the submit page. And the submit page is basically, before it runs or parses any of this information and prepares the statements and then executes the statements, it's listening to see what flags are set, and the flags are always set in the submit. So when you do the input type submit, you can give it a name, and then that name will also get submitted when you post. When you here you submit the form to then run the action being the submit page. And then the submit page, we have different flags, so I can have one submit page and listen for all sorts of different actions. And this is, kind of how I'm choosing to design this particular project and see how far it goes. I may need to have different actions later if these flags for whatever reason, seem to be unreliable. But in my use case, it seems to be a pretty easy way so that you don't have to keep rebuilding a whole bunch of code all the time. You can just sort of add your database submits to a single submit statement, and then we can have different actions take place, and we can also catch different values depending on what's been updated. So, yeah, again, a work in progress, and yeah, hopefully the development cycle could be maybe an interesting series of videos in the near future. So, as always, thank you very much.